Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the I Am 1-2 podcast with your host, Christopher Cohn. With me in the studio is the man that makes all the magic happen, Dan the man on the microphone. Say hello to the nice people at home, Dan.
Hello, everyone at home. Welcome to the show.
I have no idea why I went into an Irish accent there for just a second. But welcome, everybody. We are glad you're here. Today, we're going to be talking about recovery as a movement, meaning that I believe this is something that can actually save us from ourselves. And we'll talk about that in depth in just a second. Before we get to that, we do want to update our fellow faithful listeners out there that we have a little announcement to make. You know how we say in our program, life be lifing? And I like when people say, like Dan will say, I let life do the lifing and let Dan do the danning. And I think that's a great perspective to have. Well, sometimes things happen in life where you just have to deal with some stuff. And if you're in recovery and you learn how to bend with the flow and go with the current of the river, you'll do a lot better in life. So we have some stuff going on where Dan and I are finding it necessary to suspend the podcast for just a little while, at least until we have something more significant to say, maybe. We can promise this, though. So if you're subscribed or you want to check in still and see, we do hope with good, pretty good account to have a very special surprise guest on our podcast in October. So definitely check back for that. And then definitely we will try to be here when our book comes out, the I Am 1-2 book, which will be these 12 steps for everybody. And definitely be a lot of celebration. I'm targeting after the first of the year for a lot of reasons, but it just feels right to me. So, but I'm making great progress. It's going to be done very soon. And so just plan on that. Stay in touch with us. You can always reach us at our email, iam12recovery@gmail.com. That will still be alive and running. But when we get the book out, we're going to have our meetings, which are now 12-step spiritual recovery here in Louisville, Kentucky. We're going to change those over to I Am 1-2 meetings and start spreading the word that you can start a meeting in your own hometown. And we'll try to help you get that started. But we do appreciate all your support. We've been doing this deal for about a year and a half now. And I think this is 76, right?
5.
This is 75. That's a pretty good number. I like that round number. I like that. And, when Dan and I started this, it was completely regardless of what anybody else might think, because there's always haters out there. This was completely altruistic on our part. Dan has spent a ton of time and effort and even money on being able to get this engineered and up on YouTube, and how much time and effort he's put into this. It needs a big round of applause, because that guy has worked hard to get this thing out to you guys. And then me coming in here, my motivation was how many patients I've had in treatment, and I'm going on 24 years of licensed clinical experience, who told me they had never heard the things that they were hearing in my group in any other treatment center they had been in, and I thought that was a crime. So short of having you all come to my treatment group and have to pay my hospital, which I don't see much of that money, I thought, well, let's just put this out for free for everybody forever, for posterity. And one thing about addiction is nobody claims, and neither do I, that we have the right only way of looking at addiction, because it's such a complex illness. You cannot. I actually run into people who rule things out or are real harsh on certain opinions, and I'm like, no, you can't be that way with addiction, because we're still learning. We're still in evolving. And I've changed many of my views from science as we've gone along and learned new things. So, but I wanted to put out my take and the way I present it, so that you, if you're suffering out there, or somebody who's suffering out there, you can make their life a lot easier. I cannot tell you what a gift this would have been in my early recovery, to be able to just put on my little earbuds and walk down the street to the bus stop, because I had no car, and listen to some dudes tell me how to do this thing called early recovery. That would have been a godsend back in the day. But I didn't have any of that, because it was 1984. We had little Walkmans with cassette tapes, and I was probably listening to, what was I listening to? Flock of Seagulls. I don't know. It was the 80s. What was it?
Prince.
Oh, definitely Prince. Because I was in Minneapolis, so after all. And I got to see him there live, which was phenomenal. But yeah, please take this gift and run with it, and please pass it on to everybody you know. Addiction affects all of our lives, whether you've been touched by it directly or whether you have it in your family, whether you have it in your relationships, your coworkers. And I can guarantee you with my paycheck that there's somebody within your circle who's currently underground, meaning you don't know they're suffering, but you suspect something's not right. You can always put this on your Facebook post or put it out there and say, hey, this podcast helped me. I got some good juice from this if you all want to check this out. And so I'm grateful for technology in this one area because I'm always harping on tech. And tech does a lot of good things. Thank God for the medical breakthroughs we've had and things like biologics and things like that help us with our health. But this will be out there forever. And it really warms my heart to think that 10 or 20 years from now, and I lovingly say this about everybody, some dumb newcomer is going, what's this? And then they go, holy shit, these guys understand and they get me and I really relate. And this is helping me. And that's the only reason we're here. We don't want any money. We don't want anything from you, just to help you and help the world heal. So please be a part of that. It's called recovery. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So thank you for this opportunity. And again, we'll say some more words at the end. I'll give Dan a chance to speak on it. But it's been a gift to be able to just give freely and have no expectation of return. That's the beauty of recovery, just to have that. I never had that heart before. I was always looking for what's in it for me. So, all right. Well, today we're going to talk about recovery as a movement. And what I mean by that is I really, I think one of the great things that separates meager minds from great thinkers are people who can look at a bigger picture and see things from different vantage points and aren't so caught up in the forest that they can't see the trees. And, it's also a gift that comes through recovery, being able to look at the bigger picture of whatever's going on in your life, because we get this spiritual angle that maybe there's more than just my boss doing what my boss is doing today. Maybe that there's something more in this lesson that I'm trying to learn. Well, it's the same deal with recovery and its history, which has only been around for, what is it now, 85 years, Dan? 85 years of this great gift that was given to the world. And there's a lot of people in the program that are greater teachers than I who will say that it's as if God took pity on us finally and said, well, actually, is what the way he phrased it. He said, it's like some angels who had some pull with God, went to him and said, hey, you know what? These alcoholics, they've been struggling a long time, but they're still trying. Maybe we can help them out a little bit. And Bill Wilson came up with this miracle toolkit called the 12 steps. What we didn't know is that it works for everybody, no matter what ails you. And this is my mission, to spread it as much as I'm able to with my limited power to as many people that want it. And I've never yet met one person who did the work who did not say, A, I wish I'd done this earlier. B, I'm so grateful I have what I have now. And C, I don't know why I didn't do it before and why I was so hesitant, And I know Dan's heard the same words out of people's mouths. You're almost grateful to the day you die that you did the 12 steps and it's changed your life that dramatically. And dramatically for the better. Let's be clear about that. We're talking about positive and better. So if you can imagine Bill Wilson when he's trying to come up with these concepts, and he had this legal pad and he's laying in his bed, he's suffering from major detox and withdrawals and depression. Now, I'm saying detox and withdrawals even when he was sober a while because he drank a lot. There's no telling how much alcohol Bill put in his body over time, but it was for a long while. And his brain was gone. I mean, literally his doctor had told him he's going to be in the mental asylum or dead within 6 months. But he's laying in his bed saying, we need to have this program. And we've got these basic tools from this group called the Oxford Group. And these principles are good. We can use these like inventory and helping others, but we got to refine them and put them into a program where it just sort of makes sense and it's in order, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And he was touched by divine powers that we don't understand to be able to just scratch this out on a legal pad. And I've seen the actual document when they would never do this today, I don't think, but for whatever reason, the archives went out on the road in the 1980s and they came to the Metrodome where the Vikings play, and I'm down on the ground in the center. I've never been on a playing field, so that was exciting, but I was looking at these glass cases with these documents like the freaking Declaration of Independence, and there's the 12 steps scratched out by Bill in his bed with a broken pencil. And it's uncanny, this gift that started just with that. So they figured out, well, we can't really spread this just word of mouth. There was no mass media. There's no CNN. There's no reaching the world, So we're going to write a book, and we're going to talk about how do you do this work and what these steps mean and things like that. Believe it or not, many of the original members were against that book, and there was hella fight to get that thing out. So if they had won, we might not be sitting here today, because most people, a lot, especially in Ohio, did not want the book. So somehow these miracles happen, and there's so many of them when you see the history of recovery that somehow AA survived. We did not go at each other's throats and kill each other, and we were able to continue on and start to grow. But it was very slow growth at start. Now, eventually, at about 5 years of this thing going on, Bill Wilson's wife, Lois, found herself in a position where she was supporting her man, because it was the 1930s, but she was getting more and more resentful and bitter by the day because she had not healed, and Bill was now happy, joyous, and free. Bill had done his step work, and he was reaping the results, and she's still as mad at him as she felt mad at him when the last day he drank. So she's in the kitchen, and she's making coffee and cake for all the men at the meeting. Yes, I'm telling you the way it was in the 30s, ladies. All the women are out on the curb sitting in their cars waiting for their husbands to finish. And I always look at that picture. It's in the movie When Love Is Not Enough with Winona Ryder, if you want to look it up. And they look like little dogs sitting in the cars waiting for their masters to return. It's so sad. And she got so fed up at her situation that she lost her shit. And Bill sticks his head in the kitchen and says, "We need more coffee, honey." And she took her shoe off and threw it at his fucking head and screamed at him and said, "I've had enough of this shit. Fuck you." And she went outside, boom, 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 moment that changed history. And she went up to every car and said, "Are you so-and-so's wife? Come with me. Are you so? Come with me. Are you come with me?" And she grabbed those ladies and took them in the house. And she started her own meeting in the kitchen. And the next time Bill leaned his head in and said, "We need some coffee," he said, "Get out of here. This is our meeting. Go away. Get your own damn coffee." That's a strong woman in the 30s. And I'm telling you, that became Al-Anon. We did not know this was going to work for other people. And all of a sudden, because of frustration and I don't know what else to do, Lois said, "We're going to take your damn program and I want what you have." Now think about this. Lois has been watching Bill for 5 years. She's seen this revolutionary, radical transformation before her own eyes from a worthless drunk to this guy that's like a leader, and he's doing major world-shaking stuff. And she's like, "What the hell? I don't want to be miserable anymore." And she was brave enough to do something about it. That's the key. She took action. Let's fast forward a little bit past that. So now we got little Al-Anon meetings starting for the wives. We didn't know it was going to be family and friends. That came later. It was just for the wives at first. And then, most horrible thing happened in the history of early AA. A drug addict showed up looking for help. Now, back in the old days, a drug addict was like the scourge of the worst thing you could actually be, especially if you were a needle junkie in the 30s or 40s. You were oh my God, you weren't welcome anywhere. And they felt the same way. They felt this guy was going to come in and ruin it because they thought it only worked for alcoholics. We didn't know that God had given this gift to the world, not just to the drunks. We were very self-centered that way. "Oh, this is just ours, man. This is for us drunks." No, it's for everybody. But there is a wisdom to why God gave it to the drunks. You all want to know why God gave it to the drunks first? Because nobody else would have done them. It had to be somebody who was on their end of their rope and that desperate, who would actually do a real inventory, who would actually tell somebody else their life story, who would actually go and make their amends. And they were the proving grounds. They were the guinea pigs. They were the ones that have to show the world that this shit works. I think if he had given it to normal people or people in a church, they would have been like, "What's this crap? I don't need this. I'm fine. My life's fine. What am I doing all this work for?" So thank God it worked out the way it did. So the drug addict's there, and they're like, "Kick him out. This guy's going to get us all drunk." And he's dirty. He's scummy. I mean, trust me, it was awful. And somebody said, even back in the day before the bumper sticker, what would the master do? In other words, what would Jesus do, right? And they said, "Oh, crap, you got us. We're supposed to be helping our neighbor. We're supposed to be treat your neighbor as you would yourself. You were supposed to love each other. And they welcomed that person in, thank God, and they helped them get well so that they could go teach other addicts to get well. And now we have Narcotics Anonymous. Soon after that comes Gamblers Anonymous. Soon after that comes Overeaters Anonymous through the 50s and 60s. Then we get Sex Anonymous, which could have been earlier, but there was still that taboo about sex. Nobody wanted to admit they were actually addicted or had a problem. Well, if you get on the web today and look up 12-step meetings available in the world, I've lost count how many there are. Right, Dan?
That's what I'm doing.
Okay. How many? Well, give us an idea.
First, I looked up how many people are in 12 steps. The only thing you can really come up with is how many people are in AA.
Mm-hmm.
And worldwide, it's just a little bit shy of 2 million is what it says.
Well, that was from the study in 2001.
Okay. That's just what popped up.
Right.
2021 is what this thing says. But one thing says there's 50 different 12-step programs. I have personally, I think, counted closer to 100.
That's what I got. I mean, when I looked on there recently, I went to Wikipedia. So look up Wikipedia 12-step.
Yeah.
Okay. Because there's literally a group for like racists, I think, or something. Racists Anonymous or something.
Yep.
Bigots Anonymous.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, if you count that looks like more if I would go through there and count it. Under Earners Anonymous.
I feel like I'm Joe Rogan. I'm Joe Rogan. You're my Jamie checking my shit out.
Under Earners.
Under Earners Anonymous. Interesting. What else you see on there?
That's a new one. Like you said, Racist Pills Anonymous, Neurotics Anonymous.
And then certainly they've got Depressed Anonymous and
emotions and debtors and, every kind of substance, clutterers.
Debtors, which would be overspenders, which is most Americans.
I'm surprised there's not a hoarders, but I suppose that's the clutterers,
Yeah, there you go. Probably.
Maybe they softer,
Maybe, they didn't like the word a hoarder.
I got a clutter.
I just got a clutter involved.
Yeah.
So what we're finding out, guys, in a short 85 years is look how many people have been touched to say, hey, can I get some of that? I've got some issues myself. And if you know a person in life who has no issues, I don't know what planet you're living on. Human beings are flawed. Human beings are defective. We have issues. Everybody has issues. And this program is free, and it works for everybody that I've ever seen do it. And the only thing we're missing that I can see are meetings for so-called regular folk, which is what our goal is to start the I Am 1-2 meetings. Right now in Louisville, we have 3 12-step spiritual recovery meetings. If you want to look up the website, 12-step spiritual recovery, it'll be up at least till the new book comes out for I Am 1-2. Then it'll be iam12.org. But 12stepspiritualrecovery.com, and you will see we've got 2 Zoom meetings, which you can come and do anywhere in the world. Come visit us. We'd love to see you. One's for women only on Tuesday nights, one for co-ed on Thursday. And then we have an in-person at a church on Sunday afternoon. And what we found through that experiment, now Dan and I, when we were really kicking this around and deciding, well, is this going to work? Because there is that old stigma that normal people just don't have a fire under their ass like addicts and alcoholics. We weren't
badly mangled.
We weren't badly mangled enough. weren't broken down to a state of demoralization where they would be willing to do some of the dedicated work it takes to get this done. The good news is, we say it's so hard. It's not really. You have a sponsor to show you how to do shit. And I can't tell you how many times I've had a dude sit in my car and he's like, I got to do this 4-step. I'm like, no, dude, stop. This is what I want you to do next week. Take out a notebook. First, get a notebook. Can you do that for me? That's the first assignment. Then I want you to fucking write it down, skip a line between each one, the people, places, and things that are fucking bugged the shit out of you. That's it. Just make a list. He goes, that's it? That's it, dude. That's it. You got a whole week to work on that. And it's simple shit. I don't know why we complicate so much. But
the only hard is this up here, this freaking mental block. There's nothing hard about it.
No.
It's this fucking thing that stops me from wanting to do it.
So what do we say in our program? Simple program for complicated people, because we overcomplicated it. But we weren't sure it was going to actually work for these peeps. And so it was a bit of a laboratory. We held the meetings. We felt like people would come. We felt like they would share. We felt like that they would get benefit from the fellowship. We weren't sure we were going to have takers to get an actual sponsor and walk through the 12-step process. And I would not speak for you, but I think I can. We were pleasantly surprised at how hungry some people were for real change and their dedication to actually do the work, and how it revolutionized and changed them. Now, our good friend April, who's been on this podcast, and you can go back and find her, the queen of what? The queen of, I forgot what it's called, but it's the queen of something, but it's April, our good friend. And she was just poloing Dan on break. And I mean, her life has completely changed from where she was when we first met her. And Evelyn, who's also been on our podcast, completely changed from where her life was when she met us. And that's the goal of recovery, is to have a better, more positive life. Who out there wouldn't want that? Now, Dan, I think, ran into somebody, and I think the guy was joking when the guy says, no, I'm pretty good where I'm at. I don't really need anything more or better.
Yeah, that was one of them first few TSSR meetings, and he was just kind of talking, and he was, and he was sniffing around, and I just laid that out there like that, because that's kind of a baseline thing back then. Do you have any room for any better in your life? Would you like to have some better? And he sat there and thought for a minute, and he went, no, I think things are okay. Who don't want some better, man?
That's okay. I mean, if he's happy, he's happy.
Yep,
right?
Good for him, man. Surprised me.
But that's now become one of my life's goals, is to see what I can do to grease the wheels. And I'm sure there's other people out there doing the same thing. I just personally have not found it yet. I've not found anything that's organized where normal people can just go to a meeting. And in our meetings, we don't say alcoholic or addict or overeater, because again, we don't want to have that separation and differentiation between us. We want to be in a fellowship together. So what we say in our groups is, here's a little hint, it's right behind me. I am one too. And what does that mean? I'm just a struggling human being trying to figure this shit out. And I'd like to get some tools so I can have a better life. And I want a better and more enjoyable, more exciting, more adventurous. I want new in my life. I'm tired of bullshit. That's it. That's all I am one to me, is I'm here to get some good juice. And it's free. That's the coolest thing about it. We don't have to monetize this and, build up a little society where you have to pay dues and have a subscription to be able to get in and see this podcast. It's just free for the taking. And, but I think the big trouble is, and that was why I started the book, was, well, how do they understand it reading? We always used to say, when you're reading the AAA book, no matter whether a problem he has, just substitute food for alcohol or substitute neurosis for when he's talking about drugs or anything. It's like, no, it doesn't really work. You need something tailored specifically towards just regular folk and just give them the basic mechanics on how to do the steps. And again, like I'm saying, we have to report, we've had so many people get benefit, especially if you were to go to that Sunday afternoon group and get some of the juice in there from people who have just had phenomenal things happen to them. To open up their connection with their higher power, which is really what the steps are designed to do. It's designed to awaken you to the life you've been living, because you think you know how bad it is, but it's not really till you do the steps that you'll look back and go, I put up with that? I lived that way? I let people walk on me like that? Yeah, you did, because you didn't know who you were. I have to awaken. I have to be knocked out of my matrix a little bit. So why would that be important? Well, we're in a time, I think you'd be hard-pressed to find anybody who's not an idiot who doesn't agree that what is going on in our world today. Now, I don't think it's as bad in other countries because they have customs and practices that have kept them protected from the Americanism that's destroying us in our minds over here. But our approach to life in the West here is killing us in every facet. And people are wondering, why is it so negative? And why are people so hateful? And why are we at each other's throats? And why can't we get along? And why is this? And then, guys, it's all a game. It's all this little matrix that's been built around us by forces more powerful than us. If you think you can control what the government's telling you or what your water supply is giving you or your food supply is giving you, you can't. These are systems and institutions who have built up this little artificial world that doesn't even exist outside of America. That's for real. Go to Sweden, go to Italy. I just had a buddy in Italy 2 weeks ago. He said, oh, it's totally different. The food's so natural, so good. He said, I ate like a pig and I didn't gain a pound because it was real food. Uncanny. Really? I can go eat like a pig? I'm moving there tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? But we accept our life like, oh, well, this is the only one there is. This is the way it's supposed to be. So imagine, what if you can actually pull yourself out of that? What if we can actually awaken you, very similar to the movie The Matrix, where he takes the pill, and you go, I'm looking at it a little bit different now. I see it in a different light than I did before. And I actually have choices where I can change and shape my life to be more the way I want it to be. Now, in a country that's never been more free than any other country on the planet, I don't care what they're talking about, oppression, all this, and free speech and everything else in the news today. We still are free motherfuckers over here. And you can actually choose to shape and live your life however you choose, depending on how much you're going to allow yourself to be dominated by that matrix. For instance, simple one, a lot of people I see dominated by the news, and they're just wrecked every day by the bad news going on out there. And, Dan and I are in touch. We hear it from somebody. I still get on and check what the headlines are, but I'm not part of it anymore. It feels differently. It feels like I'm separated from it somehow, living on my own little planet over here, Planet Christopher, where I got peace in my world, and it's not affecting my mood state. I'm still enjoying my day. Now, something might hit me if it's a real bad story. I might think, oh, that's terrible, or that's what the fuck. But it doesn't dominate me. I'll be rid of it after I do a meditation. I'll be rid of it after I talk to you on Polo, and I go about my day. I'm happy. It's crazy, right? But that's all because of that 12-step change. There's something that revolutionizes and changes you and transforms you from within that Sigmund Freud wrote in the 30s to Bill. Well, he wrote to Bill in the 60s, but he believed, working with alcoholics, that's the only thing that's going to save them from addiction, is you have to have a radical, revolutionary change of the way you look at things, your frame of mind, your opinions. Everything has to change. Now, short of hitting a pylon on a highway at 100 miles an hour and almost dying in a car crash, what do you think is going to wake you up from the matrix you're in? Because I'm telling you, we're in a time right now, and I've watched history, where I feel like we're entering a dark age time where we're going to have to go through something really horrible to wake people up. But I don't have to be a part of that. It's the weirdest thing to try to explain to somebody who doesn't have recovery. But I really feel in my heart that eventually we're going to lead to war. And then people are going to have to lose their children or suffer themselves or endure famine or things like that. And not to say I might not go hungry too, but I'm still not a part of it. It's so hard to explain to somebody that doesn't understand. Do you have other words you might say, Dan? Or
when I'm trying to explain something I can't explain, my go-to is it's trying to tell somebody what a strawberry tastes like. You can't describe this, really. We try.
If they've never had one.
We try. Yeah, until you have one. You've got to have this experience, and then you'll go, and how many times does it happen with guys in our group? I see what you mean now.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you was full of crap. I couldn't believe anything you was telling me, and now I get it.
Well, just this past week, we had a relative newcomer get up and do his first lead, which is always exciting, and he was talking about his fifth step. And he was talking about how he thought it was weird. His sponsor was doing this and that. And he's like, Joe, I don't know about this guy. But he did it. He just stuck it out and he did it. And he goes, holy shit.
Yep.
And the thing that caught my ear, because that's something I never felt before the 12 steps, he said, I've never felt more comfortable in my skin. I've never felt more like myself. And that's what I think this matrix is doing to us, is it's changing us, that we're acting out and having emotional reactions and doing things where we're like, this isn't me. That's not the kind of person I want to be in life. But when you have recovery tools, you can step out of it and go, wait, before I react, what tool do I need here so I can be more true to who I am and not just react because this guy flipped me the bird in traffic or whatever. Now, you're not going to be perfect at this. You're going to make mistakes. But generally, overall, it's usually an arc of growing towards better and doing better each time. And it only comes from this awakening experience that happens through the 12 steps. And I've seen it time and time again, how it changes people. I've watched people try Buddhism. I've watched them try yoga. I've watched them try all these different methods, and they stay pretty much the same. They might have a little bit better health, or they might have a better attitude, or they're a little bit nicer, but there's not what we have. And I've even heard like celebrities talking about, man, one thing I can guarantee about the program, because they're trying to explain it in a podcast without giving away their anonymity, but they'll say, about the secret society. What I can say about that is if you go and you do what they ask you to do, you're just going to be nicer. You're going to be a lot kinder to people. You're going to be a lot more patient, a lot more gentle, a lot easier going. And what would be wrong with that? Doesn't our world need that right now with all this stuff going on? So this can be yours, but we can't get people to do it. But we're going to try. We're going to try and make that door as wide as possible and get you in. And Bill Wilson had no idea. I think he would be astonished today to see how far all this has come. And I don't think it's done. And as I've said on another podcast, one of my greatest spiritual teachers used to just stop in mid-sentence. She'd be up in front of the class doing her deal, and she would just stop and go, "There are prophets walking the earth right now." And I would be like, "What?" She just, "What?" And she'd look at us and say, "What makes you think God would desert us?" There are always prophets available to guide us, usually maligned, usually crucified, usually beat up, but they're here and they're helping us. And I believe that Bill Wilson was a prophet to bring Buddhist and Eastern Hindu type approaches to life to America, but to repackage them in a meal that we could take. Because literally, for us to go and study meditation for 20 years and do what Buddhists do and things like that, not Americans can't do that. We have that squirrel mind. We can't do that. But Bill found this thing like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12. 4 to 6 months. 4 to 6 months. Do this, guys. Not every day. You're not like working all day long. Just stick at it. 4 to 6 months with a good sponsor, and you can get this enlightenment, which is the Buddha state. The Buddha was Siddhartha, Prince Siddhartha, who was protected from the outside world in Calcutta, which was suffering and misery and famine. And his father forbid him from leaving the grounds. And he said, "Screw you, I'm going to check it out." And he was awakened to see suffering. He'd never known that. He'd always been pampered and had everything he always wanted his whole life. And then when he saw suffering, he said, "I'm going to make it my mission to make this better." And so the Buddha incarnates to come back and help. And many people have called Bill Wilson the Buddha of the Western world to bring this message to us, which we just told you the growth rate. My teachers used to tell me that it took Christianity 300 years just to get a foothold. We're talking 85 years, and look at the exponential growth. You talked about how many people might be in AA. I think that's woefully inadequate. But
you can't count them.
Yeah, you can't count them. How? There's nobody doing census. But can you even imagine how many people have benefited from the 12 steps, even if they only went to one meeting?
That's why I was trying to Google, and you couldn't get anything like that. You kept on getting a list of the groups. And it did have, and one of these charts here had every year from 1935, which makes to 90 to this year, 2. 2 was at 1935, and then it was 3 and 9 and up to almost 2 million right now. According to that. Like you said, it's woefully inadequate.
Yeah, when the book came out, and then that article in the Saturday Evening Post, that's when it really set in.
I wish I hadn't closed that window.
So it used to be that the churches may have been the ones that were going to save us, right? And I can't tell you how many, if you look at the statistics, people are leaving the churches in droves. And that's, a lot of people will make that summary statement without investigation. Well, they just don't believe anymore, and we need more belief. And no, it's because the churches aren't feeding them. They're not getting the tools they need. Ideally, the church could provide these tools, but I've not been to a church that teaches you how to do inventory. Have you, Dan?
Nope.
Have you ever been in a church that teaches you to make formal amends and go clean up all your shit?
Nope.
Have you ever been to a church that says you need to sit down, not as a confession, but have a discussion where some other guy's going to tell you his shit and you tell him your shit?
Nope.
Exactly. Nor do they really specify the role of how you should be a sponsor and help others. They're just like, feed the poor and do this. It's like, that's pretty general.
Carry the basket around and collect the money.
It's pretty general.
That's the service that I found in church.
Pretty general, right?
You carried the grape juice and the communion out. That was service at church.
Right. So if I'm not being fed, where can I go? And I almost feel like that's another example of God not abandoning us by providing this option. Now, I said in our last podcast, kind of tipping my hand there, that it's my picture that in a world that's in ruins, and I'm talking about those pictures you see in like Terminator movies of the future and things where everything's just at war and it's dark and there's industrial complex and it's horrible. Yet, in our world, for as bad as anybody might think it is out there right now because you're listening to the news propaganda, we've got these little rays of light throughout the entire world, in every country, every land, of people getting together in a circle. They don't want anything from you. They're not there for monetary reasons. They're just there to help support the next person and maybe get some help themselves. And they do it freely. And it's every night, every day, all hours of the day. And I know when you guys go to Colorado and you go to that little clubhouse and you're like, oh shit, there's a meeting here. How many times have you been on the road and just been surprised? There's a meeting here. There's a meeting here. There's a meeting here. It's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
Yet people still don't know about it.
Yeah.
So where do you get started? If you want, go to a meeting that you feel like fits with your issues, but if you're not even prepared for that. So let's say maybe you have trouble with overspending. So you want to check that out. Maybe you have a problem with overeating. You want to check that out. That's fine. I almost feel like one of the best places to get started is Al-Anon. And hopefully I'm not misspeaking myself here, but I do know that Al-Anon's charter is for the family and friends of addicts and alcoholics. And do you know anybody in your life that has not been touched in some way by an addict or an alcoholic? Even if you got a distant cousin, you got an uncle that died from this disease and you didn't really know them, but they were in your family. Guess what? You're qualified to go to Al-Anon. And what they will teach you, which they think they are the black belts on, and I give them full credit, hats off to Al-Anon, we could use more of this in AA. They're the black belts of relationships. They're the black belts of boundaries. They're the black belts of, you're not going to walk on me and I'm going to stand up for myself, speak my truth. And they've come by it hard because, trust me, they suffered many years before they were able to do that. So that's a great place to start, just to begin to hear about the 12 steps. But again, after the first of the year, we'll have this book out called I Am One Too on Amazon. And stay tuned. Even though we're ending the podcast, just tune back in here periodically or keep your subscribe button pushed. And we'll talk all about that. But I don't know what other hope the world has right now. I'm just going to lay all my cards on the table to sum it up. Dan and I joke about this idea that, we're old, and old people are always talking about the world is the worst it's ever been, and this is terrible, and da-da-da. And I don't dump on the youth. I think the youth are the worst casualties of the way the world is right now. My heart goes out to them. They need our support and help. But with technology and the advent of AI right around the corner, guys, you wake the fuck up. This world's about to change dramatically. And you're going to be sitting there going, what happened to my job? It evaporated. What the fuck's going on with the world? What? It's going to change dramatically. And we don't know. That's the scariest part about this change. We don't know what it's capable of. And there's this arms race to be the first country because, God forbid, our enemy should get it first. And we're not thinking about the morality or the ethics and what it might do to us and will it kill us? So what's going to save us, if anything? Because my philosophy is, in a world gone crazy, the only thing that makes sense to do, save yourself. I'm going to repeat that again. In a world gone fucking crazy, what else can you do but save yourself? Now, we in the program don't save ourselves for selfishness. We save ourselves so that if I do my work, I will be in a position to help save somebody else down the road. This is not a selfish program. Don't kid yourself. This is a prepare yourself. You're going to do the greatest work of your life down the road. And I'm proud to say I've helped many a man and woman save their life. I didn't do the work. The work did the work and God did the work. But I was the facilitator. I was the channel. I was there to see it happen. You do not have to go down with the ship. Because at the end of the day, you either believe that this world is the end all and be all, and if you do, God bless. You're going to have a hell of a time as it goes to hell. Or you believe there is a bigger picture. I do have a soul. I live on eternally, and I'm getting what I can out of this world, and I want to maintain my soul and not sell it out before I leave here, because karma's real, and it's going to bite you. There's many people in our higher offices now who some say that some of the things they're saying show that because of their age, they're starting to contemplate some of the actions they've taken in life and whether or not they're going to heaven or whatever. But I'm talking about this eternal self that I need to preserve and not let this world ruin my karma, so I start doing things I don't even agree with. And how many people do you know out there corporately, selfishly, greedily are doing things they may not even agree with? Maybe they weren't that kind of person when they started out, but because of their corporate job, that's now they're the person that has to deny somebody's medical coverage because their corporation said 19% of the people that call in, we just deny straight out. We don't even give them a reason. So that person dies. Well, it's my job. I got to do it. That's the world we live in. So in a world going crazy, what else can you do but save yourself? But to save yourself, don't kid yourself. It ain't, well, I'm just going to go more exercise classes. I'm going to go and study these books and read about this and that. No. What does every great teacher teach us since the beginning of time? In here. The well is poisoned from within. You're part and parcel. You're living in the same fishbowl. Don't kid yourself. You're not breathing, eating, sleeping, and drinking the same plastics everybody else is. Bro, you're as sick as anybody else. But it's funny how our ego wants to tell me, but I'm smart. I'm not like those dummies. I'm not like those dummies on Facebook arguing with each other. You are. So we can actually get inside of you with this program. We can pull all that bile out. Can we not, Dan, pull all that bile out? Yep. And you will be transformed back to that original soul you were at birth. And the path, potentially, you can still get in motion that you were meant to take at the beginning. Whether you wanted to follow a creative path in life or you wanted to help others in life, but you got sidetracked by the money. I love nothing more than showing my groups documentaries and movies about people that decided, fuck the way the world is, I'm going to walk my own path. And there's a great movie on YouTube, if you want to watch it. It's one of my favorites to show, called Minimalism, about these two guys who decided we have too much junk and it's making us sick. And they started to get rid of garbage in their life. And they passed that message on to other people to add value to their life. And they're just going their own way. And there's so many stories in there, people saying, yeah, you know, I had the job, it was all there. And I realized I was going to be miserable the rest of my life because I was never going to walk away from this amount of money. And I decided to get out before it was too late. That's what our program does. If you change yourself in here, you're much stronger to see it, deal with it, face it, and change it. Otherwise, nothing's ever going to change, and 30 years go by. So you get to be later in life, guys. It gets too late to change. You can't even get your body working right. So please, if anybody has a picture of me when I die, I'll get down on fucking bended knee to beg a motherfucker to do the steps. I do it all the time in my group every day. And you'd be amazed how many of them don't. Maybe one or two out of a group of 13 is my average. And right now I can say I got two people that I feel pretty good about. One needs to get a sponsor, but the other guy already got Shane as a sponsor, so he's in good shape. I'm excited he's going to work with Shane. Shane's been on our podcast. You want to check him out? So what do you got to lose? That's what's in on that. I mean, it's free. Anytime you want to stop, just stop. But go to meetings first, check some things out, read the books, get the AA book if you want. You can get the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions book. That's a good book to get to understand more about the steps. Bill wrote that at 13 Years Sobriety. It's called 12 Steps and 12 Traditions. And you can get on the Joe and Charlie tapes where they go through the big book and explain the concepts and the steps. Those are on YouTube. Those are available everywhere, Joe and Charlie tapes. But just start something to stick your toe in it. And I promise you, you find that right person that can sponsor you, your whole world's about to be rocked. And I had no idea when I was starting out. I thought, these stupid steps, what is this kindergarten crap? You know, I don't need this. And I'm so grateful today. I never thought, Dan, maybe you did too. I never thought I'd be this guy.
No.
Who's coming here of his own free will, and there's no money in it. There's nothing I'm going to take away except juice and altruism because I did something for my fellow man. I wasn't that guy before coming to this program. I'd be sitting here talking to you guys today. That's the change, man. You can be your highest, best version of yourself. Yeah. And all it takes is a little bit of work. So Dan has had great experience seeing so many people's lives change. Anything that stuck out at you about this topic and the recovery as a movement Because, you got to wonder, how's that momentum over 85 years? And I want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of, okay, now let's take it mainstream. Let's add it to the rest of the world. These poor guys are suffering out here, but they don't know they're sick because they seem normal,
Yeah. Yep. And I'm going to start with, there's absolutely no doubt that a number of folks, that there's a thing where we hear people's frequency and people can hear your frequency in the way that you offer this thing that is unique and effective. And, I've been witness to it and hear it over and over again. I mean, how many guys sit up there at that chair and say something about Christopher? You're sitting there next to him about that. That's where it got in, man. That's where I heard something that made me decide maybe, okay, all right, I'll start walking out on that limb, because they don't want to. They want to hug the trunk. And you have a way of delivering it that will coax a guy out. And that's really what's behind this from the beginning, was I was wanting that documented for posterity, to have that. Because, there's a bunch of speaker tapes out in the world and other stuff. But if you would go back and listen to this podcast from when it started, you're really going to get a freaking education on what we're talking about. And you're going to hear some things that's probably going to change your point of view and your perception about what you think about, air quotes, recovery or the 12 steps and what we're doing here. And I can almost promise you, if you'll listen to this stuff and go into it, that you're going to be very pleasantly surprised, and it's going to be something that you weren't expecting. These tools work. It's just a flat bottom line. They just do. And every single person that starts them thinks it ain't going to work for them. It's just these things, man.
True.
Like I said, I always tease around about thinking I'm going to write this book someday. That's the myths of 12-step recovery, and that's got to be in the top few. This won't work for me. I'll never have any more fun.
Never gonna have fun.
I'm never gonna have any friends. I'm going to
be miserable and glum, and I'll be one of those dull people.
Yeah, can't go to any more ball games, can't go to any more concerts, can't, the list goes on, and you find out that all that stuff is a lie, man. And again, your head's blocking you from coming in here. And the cool thing is that, over the 90 years, a lot of different groups are using the 12 steps, but until now, nobody's said, okay, we really don't care who you are and what you got, what's bothering you. It don't matter. Here, come and grab these tools. You don't have to fit in. And as an alcoholic, it's hard enough to come in and say I'm an alcoholic to begin with, right? It's a barrier to entry at some level, And, here you can come use these tools, and that barrier to entry doesn't exist. You don't have to come in here saying you got a problem. Whatever you do or you don't, or you've got many of them. I've always said this was like aimed at 3 different people, people that like really couldn't find their way into a traditional 12-step program. They had trouble finding, just for whatever reason, they just couldn't, what did they say? Well, AA really wasn't for me. If that's you, here you can harness the same tools without going to AA.
We've had a lot of people actually say TSSR clicked for me.
Yep.
That AA didn't quite.
Yep, it sure has. And people who maybe have been through the 12 steps, and maybe you've been in traditional 12-step recovery, and this is an opportunity for you to get a different angle on it. I can almost guarantee you, unless you live in our little corner of the world and have been touched by us in this manner, this is going to be a new way of using these tools. It's going to be something different for you, where you can kind of, level up. Because and I'm not even meaning that in a way that like this is a better way to do it, although I do think it is. That's not what I mean. I mean, anytime you work these tools in a different environment, under a different set of,
different
conditions, different teacher, you're going to get something and you're going to level up, period. So this is a place for that. And it's for people who don't think they got a problem. That they don't, life just is not okay. And I'm just not having a very good time. And I don't know what to do. I don't have any particular overriding thing that is drowning me.
Right.
But things are just not okay.
Or I'm not having the life I imagined. Yep. I thought it could be better than this.
I thought life was going to be better than this.
Yeah.
And those people, those are kind of the three people. I always thought this was kind of geared towards specifically, although it's for everybody. But I hope that maybe you can find yourself in one of those like three buckets. And that's kind of the thing about 12-step recovery is it's so hard to walk through the door. Once you get through the door, it gets a lot easier. But walking through that door for the first time, whatever it is, Zoom or whatever it is, actual building, once you walk through the door and you see what, I think you'll be almost immediately surprised with what you're going to find, and you'll want to stay or at least give it a chance.
So that is our goal. And if you want to know what we're here for, is we want you to benefit from what we've had. And I've yet to find anybody, and I think Dan would agree with this 100%, who did this work and reaped the benefits and who wasn't immediately touched to want to help somebody else get the same benefits.
Generally, people are chomping at the bit to sponsor.
Yeah.
They don't think they're qualified, but they are. They're hungry for it. They're smelling more.
They're smelling more, and they're also thinking, I didn't think this was going to work either. How much fun would that be to watch somebody else who doesn't think it's going to work and go through it? And I can sit there and go, yeah, it's going to work. It's going to work for you.
I couldn't wait to. And at some level, got addicted to doing that, in a good way, because it's okay. It's not like I was, missing work because I was doing 12-step work or because I went ignoring my family, because none of that kind of stuff was going on. But I did, it was something, that juice flow, man, that good feeling to work with a guy and watch him get better. And man, it's, Bill says it, this is something you do not want to miss.
And it's really interesting. We are taught through our institution sometimes that we should be of service. And it feels like a should, like, I got to do this, I got to go serve the homeless or whatever. And all those things are needed and valuable. I would never discount them. But there is a level of service work when you're walking a path with another person over a period of time of 4 to 6 months, and you bond together like you've never bonded with another human being in your life. You've never been this close to somebody else, ever. I don't care if it's your spouse, your mother, your father. You've never been this close to somebody after walking this path with them. You're bonded for life and for eternity. And there's a reward that comes from that when they're saying, hey, this guy helped me and he saved my life and he helped me get through this. And you see them get their 1 year and they get their 2 year and all that. And you're just like going, like our buddy LJ who's been on the podcast is up for 7 years this week. And I'm excited as hell to be able to get up there and talk about this guy is a completely different creature than the guy who crawled in homeless basically homeless into my car going, I don't know if this is going to work. He was so negative. And now he's the most positive, kind, loving person I know.
Yeah.
He's a super cool dude. Everybody I know says that about LJ. And I always tell my people, if they're thinking about him as a sponsor, I say, you'd be lucky to get LJ because he is just the nicest, super cool dude, man. He's easy to talk to. And plus, he has a way of putting things to this day. He said something in a poll this past week. I wish I could recall it, but it just floored me for his phrases he uses. Like, holy fuck, that's so funny. It's street vernacular, but it's cleaned up, but it's sort of, I don't know, it's a twist. He's got a unique way of phrasing things sometimes.
Then you see your guys taking their guys, and these guys are talking about your guy, and then that guy has got guys, and those guys are talking about that guy. And you really do feel like it's a super warm feeling to think, hey, man, I've had a positive part to play in this little web I'm watching here, man. And it is a cool thing because along with that is better relationships with wives and kids and parents and employers and just that whole ripple and that spider web it shoots out when you do this. You don't get that anywhere else.
There's nothing actually that sends my heart into orbit than to hear that I got to play a role in somebody being a better parent to their child.
Amen.
And to help their child have a better world than we had, some of us growing up.
Yeah,
and I don't have kids, but I have kids. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And there's been times, and it's dawned on me recently, that, a majority of the guys I sponsor had absent or crappy dads, and they haven't done such a good job at it either.
Or they
Since
were just...
we've hooked up together, all of a sudden, these dudes are breaking the cycle, man. They are fantastic fathers, man. And I go, oh, okay, I see. You got me down here helping dudes be better dads, and I love it.
we're just going to change that little kid's entire world.
Yep.
Give them such a better chance at life. So that is changing the world. So again, I started with save yourself, but you see where it goes. And we talk about recovery being to go back and find that which has been lost, right? That's the definition in the dictionary. But what we've also lost besides our childlike spirit, our happy, joyous, and free, being uncorrupted and unpolluted by this world, we've also lost what we had as living in tribes. Because if you lived in a tribe back in the day, you at some point would have that experience of contributing to the tribe and seeing how they did that for someone else. And you were there to witness it because you're in a tribe. You're with each other till death. And we just don't have that anymore.
Yep.
We just don't. So there's so much upside. I hope you guys are hearing that, if nothing else. There's so much upside. And I can't think of one negative downside to doing the steps. Can you, Dan?
Well, it costs you a damn $1 if you wanted to give it in the meetings.
If you want to contribute to the basket.
I'm just joking. I actually wrote that down and I couldn't remember what I did there, And because that's a little bit of a clarification, and I will say that because if you're not been to 12-step meetings and Christopher's been sitting here telling you that it is free, and it is. But when you go in the meeting, you're going to see them pass a basket, and that might make you think that, oh, they said it was free, now they're passing a damn basket. Well, you don't have to put nothing in there you don't want to.
Well,
I think after a while you will want to, but in the beginning, we are fully self-supporting as a group, and we are collecting up the money so that we can provide any number of things from big books to rent for the area that we're using. Maybe we're using a church basement and we pay them rent because we it is an AA tradition that we do that we stay fully self-supporting and we're not taking handouts. And we buy big books and we buy chips to hand out on people's anniversaries, and it costs a little bit of money. And if you don't have some, that's okay. I mean, we overflow with money in our group. We're constantly firing money up to the other groups, man. So don't misunderstand if you're not used to a 12-step meeting and you walk in. The basket is voluntary. And I'll tell you what, most meetings I go to, I throw $5 in that damn basket. This thing saved my life, man. And I make some pretty decent money, and I can afford to buy a Starbucks coffee every time I go to, less actually, a little bit less than probably. Every time I go to a meeting and get a dose of this medicine.
I love the aspect of we don't take handouts, we're self-supported. But to be specific for the new people, there's this really critical aspect for a meeting to work of autonomy that we're not beholden to the place we have the meeting at. And that's why we pay rent. The churches do not own the meeting, okay? So when you go to a church for a meeting or something, do not think it's the sponsored meeting. No. We rent that room, and when the door is closed, we have the right to say and do anything short of destroying the property. Don't break the rules of the church, but we can talk real and cuss and do what we do. And it's not reflecting on the church. It's just a room rented as a community service. They're literally doing that for us, which is a great service.
Thank God churches are around doing that for us.
Yeah. Where else would we go?
Couldn't be near the amount of meetings there are if it wasn't for the churches.
And it's a win-win for the church because they get alcoholics in their own congregation, and they got a place to know, hey, we can send you downstairs. You don't even have to go across town.
Yeah, and vice versa, man. I've noticed, sometimes people decide to join the church where they happen to be in an AA meeting at,
But we'll take it one step at a time with the newcomers. We don't want to freak them.
Yep.
You don't have to join the church.
No, you do not have to. No. But it's a win for the church when somebody decides to do that. So, yeah, it is. It's the best thing going. It really is.
So I'll make you all a deal. If anybody wants any help with that, you don't know how to get started, and please stay in touch with us as the book comes out, because we will definitely be giving you some guidance to hopefully get your own meeting started in your own backyard. You can literally have in your backyard and just have a friend come over to start, have a pal to pal around with, and then you get a third person, then you get a fourth person, and before you know it, you got your own group going on, man. It's that simple. We're going to help you with that. But in the meantime, drop us any questions if you want about anything we're talking about. iam12recovery@gmail.com. And just, if there's anything I could wrap up our whole effort with here, and then I want to love on Dan a little bit and appreciate this gift we're able to do here. There does come a point in the recovery journey with my patients where I have to tell them that you have to decide you're worth it. Stop shitting on yourself because of your trauma. Stop saying I shoulda, woulda, coulda. Stop being your own worst enemy and own worst critic. Stop all that noise and realize you're no longer that helpless child. You're now a fucking adult who is making choices. You're just making bad choices because you don't have good tools. And now you can make a choice that I'm going to stand up for myself and I deserve something better than this. Whatever that is for you, fill in the blank. And you don't have to tell your partner if your partner is better than this, but you can think it and say, I deserve something better, and go get it. And tell that person, hey, I'll be back in an hour. I'm going to a meeting. What? You're going to a meeting? Yeah, I just thought I'd check it out. Grab a friend. It's always easier to go with a friend. And it's free. How else can we get you enticed? Go drink some free coffee. Sometimes it's good, sometimes not so good, but it depends on the coffee person. But we love you, and we'll do anything to help you. And that's our main mission, is to help anybody find this gift that was freely given to us. We want to freely give it to everybody else. So I want to do some acknowledgments before we get out of here and give it a chance for Dan to talk. But I just want to personally thank Dan again for, you guys have no idea. I was ringside to see how much work it takes to upload and edit and put these things into the YouTube format and get it to take, and the problems we've had. Sometimes the camera busts out on us or our sound goes out, and Dan does his magic and his engineer skills and somehow figures out a way to get it to work. And I don't think we've missed a week until recently, and it's been solid, dude. And that's that guy, not me. So everybody in the crowd, please put a shout out to Dan in the comments or to our email. Because I could not have done this. I thought about it one time, I want to do this, but maybe can I just set up my own camera at home? And I was talking to Dan about the equipment, and he goes, well, I do this other podcast, which y'all can check out too, on right behind Dan's right shoulder, Spiritual Underground Podcast. Great talks on there. And he's getting a lot of interesting guests in the past year that are all over the map. So if you want to check out some different angles on recovery. But I could not have done this without you, Dan. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I need everybody out there to understand the amount of service work and time you put into that. I don't see many people dedicating that much time to helping the next person, regardless of whatever else is going on in a person's life. I've never seen anybody put that much time in to help somebody else. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. This is a gift that you've helped me to allow to give to the world. So, and I also want to put a shout out to thank every single person who's been on board with our mission since we started, and even the ones that have come but maybe disappeared on us. We have the most amazing group it's a family now. And I'm going to get a little emotional. But we have people they've come together with this mission that we want to help the world to heal. And we want to help as many people get what we have. And these people are suiting up and showing up in their meetings every week. And they're doing the service work. The ladies are getting ready to go off on their retreat in October. And for those of us that maybe did not have that feeling of a real family growing up, and it's given to us freely because of doing this work from God. I just need to tell you how much I appreciate every single one of your all's efforts out there. We may not talk. We may not cross paths that often, but you need to know how much I know what you're doing, and I appreciate everything you guys are doing. Because this is a we program. This is not something I can do alone. Dan and I can't do it alone. This is a we program where we need every single person to put their heart into giving back what was given to them. And I'm telling you, we can change the fucking world. I'm that naive. I am that romantic. I do believe that. All is not lost. I've seen too many freaking people be recovered from the trash heap, man. And these were cases where people came in the door and you're like, holy fuck, that guy's not going to be able to get it. He's gone. No, dude, he's a CEO today, has a multi-million-dollar paycheck. So I'm not kidding around. Join us. It's the most noble thing you can do. is to help rebuild the world as everybody else is knocking it down, man. Show them that love does triumph over evil. It is stronger. It has to be. My teachers used to say, God forbid, if evil was stronger, we wouldn't still be here. There would be planes falling out of the sky and nobody would give a fuck. You understand? That's real evil. Because of technology, we're being fooled into believing everybody's a piece of shit. It's not true. So please do yourself a favor. Say, I want something better, and join us. You can get on that website, 12-Step Spiritual Recovery, and come to the Thursday night meeting. Come to the Tuesday night women's group if you're a female. No men, please. And join us. Come check it out. We'd love to have you. That'd be a great place to start to learn about the 12 steps at the original For Everybody meetings. So thank you from my heart. I don't know how else to put it. And I'm honored and humbled to be a part of this movement and this fellowship. This is not about me. Don't ever think that. I would never, ever feel that about that. This is about we. This is about us. And we're going to help the world. So thank you. All right, Dan, follow that shit if you want.
Thank you, Christopher. Thank you very much. And I will admit, this has been a lot of work. It is. In the beginning, it was taking me almost 3 hours to get one episode dialed up and edited and loaded up. And I caught up and got a little bit more time, but I did it because I'm committed to this process and what we got here. I know the power of this stuff. I know me and my friends, we joke around and call Christopher the Wizard because he has this magic wand he can wave and guys hear him and people see what's going on. And, we joked around, and I'll just be honest about something here for a minute. Me and another one of my brothers got in a little piss contest, and we were mad at each other, and it looked like, it was tough. And both of us have got strong egos and a bunch of crap built up, and neither one of us could do the mea culpa. And Christopher pulled some magic, and the next thing you know, we're able to do that and patch things up and tell each other we love each other and get back together and put them behind those bygones, be bygones. And Christopher had a huge piece of that, being able to speak the principles of this program and let both of us understand where we were at and what we were jeopardizing and what we were also potentially walking away from had either one of us made that ultimate choice to bolt. So Christopher's words and his stuff is just, there's not too, I say I sit at the right hand of a master. That's what I tell my friends when I talk to them or when I'm on the podcast. I kind of use it as I'm a New Albany hillbilly. And I kind of got no kind of credence. I got nothing to stand on. I don't have no college degree. I don't have any of this kind of stuff. I'm certainly no dummy at the same time, but I was able to soak up Christopher's knowledge over the past bunch of years, and I almost use it like a credential when I'm talking to somebody that I know what I'm talking about, because what my sponsor has been sober for 41 years, been doing this stuff for almost a quarter of a century in the professional field, and I get to suck his knowledge into me on a daily basis. And it's been just so good for me over the past 10 years. And this has been, a lot of guys get to sit, I didn't go through Christopher's treatment program. So I haven't gotten to hear these educations that you guys have been presented here with this podcast. So this was my opportunity actually over and over again to be able to sit here and to listen to what I know works for these, what he offers these people in the treatment center. And what they can have. And I got to sit here and hear, me and Chris have been best friends for 10 years. And through the past 16 months, I think 17 months is how long we've been doing this. I've heard a lot of stuff I hadn't heard before, because I wasn't in that role. I've heard some of it, obviously, yeah, but I also have heard quite a bit of things that I had not heard before. And so this has been just a great experience for me, period. We're not stopping. We're just going to put the pause button on for a little bit. We've got, 133 videos out there now.
Wow.
We're on episode 75, but I did a lot of shorts.
Think about the first one we did. Who would have thought that we'd have 133? That's fantastic.
Yep. And 233 subscribers, and we're creeping up on 20,000 listens.
Hell yeah.
20,000 views, and that's no ham and egg amount of stuff for a couple, because we're just sitting here in this little town, the suburb of Louisville, Kentucky, doing our thing. And, that's one of the positives of that tech. You mentioned a couple of times about the negatives, but the positive is we get to do this. And we get to deliver it to you, and you get to sit at home and absorb it. And so that's awful cool. And I just thank Christopher for, it was when I know how this started, and I remember I've talked to Christopher, and I thought it'd be cool if he'd give me like a 10-minute snippet to put on the Spiritual Underground podcast now and again. And he said, let's go further. And he said, let's get cameras and do this YouTube thing and really do this thing. And I thought, cool, yeah, let's do that. And it's been a lot of work, but it's been a blast. Our guests that we get to come in, that's just been super cool too. And I don't regret a single moment of anything that's happened here. It's all been a upward trajectory and a blast. If you're not having a blast in your recovery, you ain't doing it right. And this has been fun.
And just to tag on what Dan said, we'll wrap it up. We ain't stopping. If you ain't figured that out by now, nothing's stopping us from continuing to pass on this message. So stay plugged in. There's more to come.
We've got a pretty comprehensive library of the basics plus advanced in basics. And so, I think it's a good time to set it aside for a little bit until we get to the next venture.
Which I can imagine down the road, we want to keep people in touch with the movement. Yeah. How our meeting's going. We just started a meeting. Some guy did. We had a friend of ours that moved to Alaska and tried to get a meeting going. He just, it just sometimes is not the right time, not the right circumstances, but it doesn't mean it can't happen in the future.
Did we do an episode on how to start your own meeting?
No.
We haven't done that, have we?
So, like I'm saying, down the road. Absolutely.
Yeah. And we can give you tips on that, and we can help you with how you can do that and the ways to help make that be successful.
But I look at it like the loser stealing his mom's trophies out of the cabinet and take them to the pawn shop. To go from that to being honored that maybe I have something worthy to say, or maybe people actually like you or care about you or love you. That is the 12 steps and the power of God. There is nothing else. And I am humbled every time I get praise because I know who did the work in me. Of my own making, I'll fuck it up. But with some tools, that life's pretty good. And it can be that way for you too, guys. So please stay in touch. Please don't give up. And please, 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 please try these 12 steps. I'll get on bended knee and beg you if I have to. All right. Well, we like to end all of our podcasts. And I guess if you want to join us, please, on the last one for now, with the Serenity Prayer. So, Dan, if you'd like to join. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Just for today. Keep coming back. It works if you work it. You die if you don't. We love you. Don't give up. Peace out.